as far as Vigeland is concerned, yes, her parents were both former U.S. attorneys. They were head of major crimes divisions in a pretty major district in the country. So whenever about 180 former federal prosecutors signed a petition to Rod Rosenstein to appoint a special counsel for the Mueller investigation, or what would become the Mueller investigation, both of her parents signed on to that.
And again, I find it interesting. It's just an interesting coincidence, if nothing else, that her father for many years was a partner at Wilmer, Cutler, Pickering, Hale, and Dorr, and that Robert Mueller ended up working there shortly before he was appointed to be the special counsel who they were petitioning to have in place. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily a conflict of interest, but it's just, I think at the very least, it kind of shows that these people sort of all exist in, the same class, essentially.
Yeah, look, it's a small world, but it's a big club, right? And you and I aren't in it, but right. They are. But yeah, so when it comes to Vigeland, and especially her disdain for Tulsi Gabbard, you can go back on YouTube. It's a simple search to find numerous instances back in 2016 where Emma Vigeland is heaping praise upon Tulsi Gabbard. And despite the fact that nothing of Gabbard's main points or politics have changed in the interim, now all of a sudden we see a complete 180 from Vigeland in her attitude towards Tulsi Gabbard.
Overall, Tulsi Gabbard is one of my favorite politicians and one of the best people in Washington. She's shown immense bravery, both as a veteran and as someone who abandoned her position at the DNC to fight for what she thought was right.
Hey guys, I'm here with Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today about your Syrian trip.
Thank you. Aloha to you and to all of your viewers.
Thanks. Obviously, Representative Gabbard is a favorite of progressives.
I find it so outrageous that anyone would have any problem with Tulsi Gabbard meeting with the president-elect to steer him in a more progressive direction. Why is that an issue for you? But that's because you want to play identity politics. That's the first reason. And the second reason is some of you guys maybe do want to go to war with Syria. Gabbard said to the nation on Monday, escalating the war to overthrow Assad will make things even worse. It will cause more suffering and chaos and strengthen ISIS and al-Qaeda to the point where they will be able to take over all of Syria. That result would, according to Gabbard, mean disaster, including a genocide against religious minorities, secularists, atheists, and anyone who refuses to accept extremist Wahhabi theology. The refugee crisis would increase exponentially, and it could lead to a direct confrontation with Russia. So, that is genius. She gets it. She understands the problems with intervention. Tulsi Gabbard had a lot to lose. She was a fairly no-name congresswoman who had a leadership position in the DNC, and she risked that all, and she spurned all of that for the courage of her convictions. She stood up to those Democratic donors. She stood up to the establishment, and she said, what you're doing is wrong. You are rigging the system. And there are so many progressives and Democrats that didn't do it. Elizabeth Warren included. If you don't see the value in Tulsi Gabbard, you don't know anything about the Democratic Party and where it needs to go. She's actually reaching across the aisle. But now you don't care. God, I hope she runs for president in 2020 and just rubs it in your face.
The point I make in the article is I have seen Vigeland go on Twitter, especially, and saying that, hey, there's no way that Gabbard can be pro-LGBT, because she's gotten, because of her upbringing, right? She was raised in this ultra-conservative household, and her father was very anti-gay marriage, so basically saying that, look at her background. There's no way, even though her voting record is immaculate when it comes to that, you can, get on human rights campaign. They've given her 100% on, LGBT issues. So the same argument could be used against Vigeland if we really wanted to play this game. You grew up, Vigeland grew up as an establishment princess. You know, her parents, one of her parents, I mean, let's just face it, one of her parents was the chairperson of a Kristen Gillibrand, I guess, fundraising group back in 2010 when she was running for Hillary Clinton's old seat, which means that in order for her to get that position, you know, her parent had to raise or donate a certain amount of money. That very next year, Vigeland was interning for Kristen Gillibrand, right? So, and that's not to say that she got that, you know, because of that, but there's definitely that possibility. It was like, yeah, your parents are plugged in to this system, right? And they're plugged into establishment types and characters that know, you know, that know people. And that's really about, I mean, when it takes to getting ahead in this world, it's not about, you know, what you know, it's about who you know a lot of times. But to say that Gabbard couldn't relate to, you know, gay rights issues because of her upbringing, then how the hell can Vigeland relate to progressive issues given her upbringing? You know, it's a valid question to ask. Now, obviously, the point is that people can rise above their upbringing and people can change, right? So it's not to say that, you know, I'm right when I say that Vigeland can't be progressive or that she's right. It's actually to say that it's an asinine argument to make that, you know, people can't change over the course of, you know, adolescence to an adult when you've gotten out from underneath your parents' wings and seen the world for yourself through your own eyes and drawn your own conclusions.